Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to welcome back John Mitchell, an economist with M&H Economic Consultants. John, good to see you again. How are you?
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Thank you for being here. So I'm going to start off with a very broad question. Where are we in the economic recovery?
Well, this upturn's been going on. We're finishing up the 6th year. We started up in 2009. The economy's been basically growing ever since that point in time. It hasn't been perhaps as fast as we'd like, but in the last couple of quarters, you've seen a pickup in the growth rate. We've seen a strengthening in employment, and the expectation is that that's going to continue as we move through 2015.
Mm-hmm. And you gave a presentation today at lunchtime at the Medford Chamber Forum. So you talked a lot about the slow growth, both from Medford and the state of Oregon. Are we going to continue to see that trajectory? Is there any point where you think it's a possibility of kickstarting that, perhaps speeding it up?
I'm an optimist. I think that you will see the growth rate pick up, basically nationally. We've been growing along at about 2% from the standpoint of output growth. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that reflects the nature of the downturn. We went through a long time period where people were reducing debt loads. They delayed purchases. Banks had to recapitalize. There was a lot of stuff going on. We've had shocks from outside, be it tsunamis, European implosions, the fiscal cliff. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully most of that is behind us. We're getting a boost from the falling gas prices, and I think we'll see that growth rate move up in 2015.
Okay, yes, jumping on the gas prices, how much of a boost will that be to the economy? Is that something we can project for the year moving forward? Is this a long-term thing potentially?
Well, I'm not sure how long it's going to go on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've had a fundamental change in the world. I like to say fracking has changed the world. And you've seen significant increases in production in the United States at a time of slowly growing demand and a resulting plummeting in price. You had the Saudis, basically keeping output high to drive down the price to try to shut down some of the alternatives. But from a standpoint of consumers, we've seen that plunge in gasoline prices, and it's like a tax cut. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not so good for people who are on the production side of energy in North Dakota and Texas and places like that. But from a macro perspective, I think of the U.S. economy, it is a positive. And I would argue it's a positive for a place like Southern Oregon, which has significant tourist-related activity.
Yeah, very true. All right, very good. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have much more with John in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with economist John Mitchell. John, we're talking about interest rates and how low they are, and they've been that way for some time. Is that going to change soon?
Well, the Federal Reserve is in the process of changing policy. Last year, they reduced their purchases of government securities and mortgage-backed securities. It ended in October. People had thought rates were going to go up, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. With all the events overseas, flight to safety, we saw the rates go down. They're extraordinarily low. The 30-year mortgage under 4%. The Fed has said they were moving toward raising rates, but it's going to be driven by the data. Strength would imply they'd go up earlier. Weakness or worry might delay it. They're focusing on mid-year. I personally think it might not happen by then. I think it'll be pushed back. But I'm not looking for dramatic changes in interest rates. I think it's going to be a very slow process, particularly given what's going on in the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and jumping in on that, Europe has had some issues lately. How, in a global economy that we all say nowadays, with technology and everything, how much does that affect us here at home in the U.S.?
Well, that impacts us. I mean, for example, the weakness in Europe, extraordinarily low interest rates there, far lower than ours. That helps hold down ours because people want to buy U.S. securities. Flight to safety. You're worried about what's going on in the Middle East or Europe. Where's the place of safety? The United States. That drives up the dollar. That can make it more difficult for U.S. exporters. The weakness in the rest of the world holds down commodity prices, which we see. We see that not only in the oil stuff, but in some of the grains and metals and the like. I mean, it's clearly it clearly will impact us and is likely to be a drag, but I don't think enough to really derail the upturn.
Mm-hmm. And you were asked a question today about student loans. We've heard a lot about that. Are they a big concern to you moving forward?
Well, education debt has increased significantly. One of the things we, of course, have to look at when you have a serious recession, one of the things that people tend to do is, okay, let's go to school, get more training, or the cost in essence is less because the labor market is weaker. And so people do that. They take on student debt, and there's a lot of worries about that. A lot of the median, which is half below, half above, the median student debt is, I think the last federal figures they saw were in the $25,000 to $30,000 range, which I'm not sure is really an unmanageable number. You get numbers that are distorted by people going to medical school, graduate school, that sort of thing, maybe taking on hundreds of thousands or some private institutions.
Change that mean, that average.
But with the strengthening in the labor market, I think you'll see that show up in stronger income growth, stronger household formation, and I think people will be able to sort of service that, and I think we'll get through that.
Very good. John, great to see you again. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.